Hey guys, what's up? Dingo Crikey here with another Transformers commentary video. In this one I'm going to be discussing whether or not we could see Optimus become Nemesis Prime in Transformers 5 or the following films. Remember, this is just a theory video. I don't have any inside knowledge into the future Transformers films, and I'm not claiming with absolute certainty that any of these theories will actually happen in the following films. So if Optimus were to become Nemesis Prime, how would this happen? Well, I think the first source that we can always go to is Transformers history, whether in the comics or the cartoons. Not that the movies necessarily have to follow the same storylines, but we have seen in the past that the storylines from the cartoons can affect the films and vice versa. Despite the character Nemesis Prime making numerous appearances throughout the Transformers cartoons, we've never seen Optimus actually become Nemesis Prime. Usually the character is a separate character entirely or a clone of Optimus. And while I haven't read all of the comic books to know for sure, after doing some searching around, I don't think that this is ever the case in any of the comic books either. We have seen the villainous factions with the capacity to change another Transformer's identity and faction in various different ways in the Transformers cartoons Energon, Beast Machines, Beast Wars, and the original Robots in Disguise cartoon, but without going over each one, I'll just say that I don't think any of those would provide a good explanation for Optimus becoming Nemesis Prime, and I've already brought up a few times the idea of Optimus being converted into Nemesis Prime. That is because under no circumstance could I picture Optimus willingly becoming Nemesis Prime and turning on the Autobots. We see Optimus is pretty brutal in the way he fights and in his treatment of the enemy, but I think it's pretty clear that Optimus would never totally switch sides or go completely to the dark side. The closest he came to this was his anger in Age of Extinction towards the humans who had killed his Autobot companions and were threatening the remaining Autobots' existence. Nevertheless, I don't think this is anything close to the kind of darkness he would need to become Nemesis Prime, and I think that storyline was pretty wrapped up by the end of Age of Extinction. So if Optimus were to turn, how would it happen and who would turn him? My theory goes that it would be the creators, or as many of us believe them to be, the Quintessons, through the use of the Dark or the Decepticon Matrix. From the scene at the end of Age of Extinction, it seems that Optimus is going to be trying to find the creators in Transformers 5, and while we obviously can't know with 100% certainty, at this point in time, it does sound as though the films will follow two separate storylines, one being the Earth storyline, and the other being the storyline with Optimus Prime in space. Let's say that for this theory's sake, and as I believe will be the case, Optimus doesn't find the creators right in the beginning of the film. Rather, earlier in the film, and for a good percentage of the film, he is in space figuring out how to find the creators and also how to rally other Autobot forces. We see he does have the ability to rally other Autobots, as this has been evidenced multiple times in the different films. Assuming that the creators are evil, as Optimus probably has that idea at this point, he's going to need these additional Autobot forces, but he's also going to need to find a way to get the creators, as at this point in time we don't have any reason to believe he knows where they are or even who they are. But if the films are willing to take a little inspiration from Generation 1, I believe they can use the Matrix to solve this part of the story. To be brief about it, in Generation 1, Rodimus Prime, who is Optimus' successor and then bearer of the Matrix, triggers a near-death state to allow his consciousness to go inside of the Matrix, which through a series of visions allows him to see Transformers history, and eventually he has led to the truth that the Quintessons were the ones who created the Transformers. Narratively, if Optimus were to do this, it would not only give him the identity of the creators, but the filmmakers could also use it to give Optimus insights into the creators' planet or where they may be residing, and some directions on how to get there. Some people may question whether or not the Matrix is still existent in the Transformers film franchise after the events of Revenge of the Fallen, but we do see in Dark of the Moon that Optimus uses it to revive Sentinel Prime, and while we don't see it in Age of Extinction, I think this lets us know that the Matrix is still out there, and for this theory's sake, I'm going to say that they're not just going to throw away a concept such as the Matrix by just saying, oh, we forgot about it. Basically, towards the end of Transformers 5, whether initiated by Optimus or forces of the creators, we will have a confrontation between the two forces. Optimus may initially try to negotiate with them and try to get some insight onto their creation and how they can maybe resolve things more peacefully, but eventually a battle will most likely ensue. And this theory would require Optimus and the Autobot forces to lose to the creators, or at least Optimus. Being as this would be towards the end of Transformers 5, they probably wouldn't want to end the film on a total down note, so we'd probably have Optimus doing something heroic to allow the other Autobots to escape, but ultimately it would result in his capture. And if the earlier parts of this theory were to be played out, the Matrix of Leadership would have been made an integral part of the story. Hence, the members of the audience are familiarized with the concept of a Transformers Matrix when the creators, or the Quintessons, introduced the Dark Matrix. Now, I should probably backtrack here to kind of clarify some things. Though I'm calling this the Dark Matrix, as this is a theory, it takes concepts from both the Dark Matrix in the Marvel comic books and the Decepticon Matrix introduced in Generation 1. The core of the influence comes from the Marvel comic books, in which the Dark Matrix is sort of a corrupted form of the Matrix. From my understanding, what happens in the comic books is that after the Matrix of Leadership is possessed by some evil beings, it is basically exposed to the idea of evil and destruction, and the Matrix actually begins to embrace this. While Optimus is able to eventually retrieve it and keep its darkness at bay for a while, eventually the Matrix falls out of his hands and into the hands of other evil users, and the Matrix itself eventually becomes evil and much more powerful than any of the users alone. Whereas the Matrix is traditionally a force of life, now it has become a force of death. While the Dark Matrix was still capable of being occupied inside a Transformer, it would gradually take over the user, seemingly without the user's knowledge, to the point where the bearer of the Matrix would have no independence and would be just a vessel for the Dark Matrix. Now, the Dark Matrix doesn't make any appearance in the cartoons. However, in Generation 1, we are introduced to the idea of a Decepticon Matrix. Once Galvatron has caught up to the Quintessons and is about to destroy them, the Quintessons introduce Galvatron to the idea of a Decepticon Matrix, basically the Decepticon equivalent to the Autobot Matrix of Leadership. And Galvatron lets the Quintessons live and even agrees to work with them with the promise that he will receive the Decepticon Matrix after the Quintessons' plan has unfolded. However, it turned out that the Quintessons were bluffing just to buy time to activate their weapon to deactivate all Transformers, and we are led to believe that the idea was a myth all along. I don't think that it's too much of a stretch to say that the films could just combine these two concepts, basically using the Decepticon Matrix concept loosely to connect the Quintesson storyline to that of a Dark Matrix, one that would more closely resemble that of the Marvel comic books rather than the underdeveloped Decepticon Matrix. Now, in this video, I'm not going to cover why the Quintessons would tamper with the Matrix or be interested in creating their own. However, given that the Matrix is traditionally instrumental in destroying Unicron, and that the Quintessons aren't particularly on the same side of Unicron, especially as they appear in Transformers Energon, I believe they do have reason to be interested in it. But that's another topic. Either way, whether converting Optimus's Matrix into the Dark Matrix or having the Dark Matrix as a separate object entirely, in this theory Optimus will be implanted with the Dark Matrix, possibly after being killed and brought back with the Matrix dark energy, as the Dark Matrix was capable of doing something similar in the Marvel comic books. The film would end with possibly an Autobot victory on planet Earth, but on the other side of the universe we see Optimus awakening as Nemesis Prime, hence the lead-in for Transformers 6. Because this video is already getting a bit lengthy, I'm not going to go into how succeeding events would play out in Transformers 6. I would, however, like to mention that in any case, I believe this would be a great lead-in to the Unicron storyline, as the Matrix is traditionally instrumental in defeating Unicron, and many of us do believe that Unicron will be the endgame of the films. Not only would this theory help bring the Matrix into the forefront of the story, but it could also add some complexity into how the Autobots are going to get the Matrix either back from being the Dark Matrix, or in the case that Optimus was implanted with a new Dark Matrix and the Quintessons still have the Matrix of Leadership, how they're going to get it from them. Once again, this is all just a theory. I'm not saying this stuff is definitely going to happen, and I don't know how likely it is. I have some other theories on Transformers 5 that would be in opposition to this one, and I'm sure other people have theories that are much different as well. Also, turning Optimus evil, especially ending the film that way, would be pretty dark. arc, but if done the right way, it could definitely create some excitement for Transformers 6. And whether through this theory or some other way, I do think that Nemesis Prime will appear in the films at some point, as we do have many years of Bayformers left. I know personally I would be highly disappointed if he didn't at least get a cameo, considering all the movies we have to go. Now, in the IDW comic books, the character of Nemesis Prime is tied to a character called Nova Prime. I was originally going to discuss that topic in this video as well, but realizing that I wanted to go so in depth with this video, I figured I would separate them into two. So feel free to go and check out that video along with one of my older videos on Sentinel Prime being resurrected as Nemesis Prime. Also, I do commentary on the Transformers films, toys, and cartoons regularly, so you can keep up with the channel if that sounds cool to you. I also do Transformers figure reviews, so you can stay tuned for that. That's all I have to say for now. Thanks for watching, stay tuned, and have a good one, guys. I'll see you soon.